Welcome to the Introduction to Marketing. This is lesson 8, and in this lesson we are still focusing on the final side of the marketing triangle, specifically the media or the how. Now, this is the Dan Kennedy marketing results triangle that very much has three sides that are all interdependent on each other. You've got the message, the what, the market, the who, and of course the media at the bottom there. But this just as well could be a three-legged stool. Each side is vitally important. However, while media can be a lot of fun, you're doing audio, podcasts, you might even be doing some classified ads and some yellow pages. It can also be very, very expensive if you don't do it correctly and you don't target it the right way. So when we talk media, we're basically just talking about the way we are able to get our message over to our desired market. And they're quite literally so many different forms of media. But here are some examples that you'll probably be familiar with. You have websites and blogs and landing pages, email, direct mail, social media, flyers and leaflets, brochures, newspaper ads, television ads, postcards, and as we said, so much more. And the idea is you need to think of your media very much as a marketing toolbox. When you look at all these different things, website, landing page, email, direct mail, you look at them as tools, okay? This is why it's very important not to place sort of more significance on one over another, which we will talk about later. So this media is your marketing toolbox, but you must be very careful not to be a one media wonder. There was this great film a few years ago called That Thing You Do, and it was about this group called The Wonders, a young group, and they played some beautiful music, but the problem was they only played the same song all the time. And Dan Kennedy, the same one responsible for the marketing triangle, says that 1 is the worst number in marketing. So the more tools you have in your marketing toolbox, the better. And the way I want you to think, I want to think as your media as pillars. You see how sturdy and strong that they look. And here's actually a bit of a true case study for an entrepreneur who used to just have a monthly newsletter, an e-newsletter coming from headquarters. Now, look at that. It's just standing on its own, right? Remember we said that we're going to think of our media as pillars, okay? So it moves over here, and look at that. I mean, it's very, very wobbly to say the least. I mean, it's going to fall over. So if we do put it in the middle, but can you see how, uncertain it is? We don't want to have this situation. So then you can add a web page and landing pages on the left, email marketing on the right, and can you see it's got a bit more firmness to it? And then as we move over and we start adding all those different bits of media, be it telephone calls, voice recordings, be it partnership, be it shows, workshops, conferences, be it social media. Can you see how strong and sturdy it looks now? That's how you've got to think about with your media, okay? The more tools you have in that toolbox, the better. And really, I'd like you to think like this man. His name is Perry Marshall. He is a very well-respected marketer. He's an author of 3 very, very significant books: The Ultimate Guide to Google AdWords, The Ultimate Guide to Facebook Advertising, and 80/20 Sales and Marketing. And Perry likes to say, I don't know about showing you ways to get 20 more customers, but I can definitely show you 20 different ways to get a customer. All right. So what he's talking about is he will use a website, he will use an email, he will use a postcard, he will use a voice recorded message, he will use a YouTube channel. You see, all these different ways, as opposed to just sort of thinking, okay, let me spray and pray. So spread your message out. You really need to make sure that you use the different platforms, okay? Once you have determined your market and you've worked on that message like what we did in the previous lessons, it's time to spread that message out. But a word of warning, do not be like that proverbial kid in a candy store where you just think, wow, this is fun with Facebook ads and this is fun with Google ads. And sometimes it's just that excitement and anticipation, but the sad thing about it, it can also be desperation, where sales aren't coming in, customers aren't as sort of plentiful as you like, and you begin to throw money a lot of the time at the first media platform that contacts you. Google might say, we've got a coupon, or someone might say, listen, an advert normally costs this amount, but you can have it for that amount, and you run. So don't be like that kid in the candy store. And there is a marketing order of importance, all right? And this is very important that we sort of spend a little bit of time discussing this. And all we mean is that when you begin to put things together, the order is list, offer, creative. Okay, list, offer, creative. So the first thing you focus on is that audience, that target market. The offer, driven largely by the copy and the content, okay, that message. And only then the creative, only then the media, right? And too often I see the creative being first. As I said, you're trying to advertise to people on a platform just because somebody has offered it to you cheaper, or you're a little bit sort of anxious to get the ball rolling and you don't give enough thought to who it's going to and the message you're going to put there. And this man, Brian Kurtz, has a really great order of importance. Brian is a terrific marketing man. He has an offering called the Titans Marketing and the Titans of Direct Response. And Brian likes to look at it as 40, 40, 20. Okay, 40, 40, 20 in the marketing order of importance. So the list, he puts 40% importance, the offer, 40%, and then the creative, 20%. So he knows for a fact you've got to get in front of the right people and you've got to say the right thing to those people. So in a nutshell, what I'm saying is that the who and the what come before the how, but they are all three very, very important. The market, the message, the media. The who, the what, and the how. So, coming up in Lesson 9, we are going to look at marketing integration. We have decided, we've understood and agreed that we're going to use all these different platforms for media, okay? But the big thing is now we don't just want to broadcast these messages out, but we want to integrate them to one another. We want them to sort of link very nicely and play well with each other. So coming up in the next lesson, that's what we're going to talk about, marketing integration in Lesson 9.